So I have my code here that I worked with last time, right? And I've got sort of my flow chart of what my goal is. So a couple of things I'm going to do. I mentioned last time that taking out these strings can make it easier to work with, right? We could just go and replace all of these strings in there last time. If you want them in there while you're editing, the other option is to actually store these strings in more variables. So I think I'll do that. So at the start, essentially, of my script right now is where the program is beginning, right? But we're going to change that a little bit because I actually want sort of all of this text to be above that, so that way I can edit this very easily without having all of this text sort of distracting me. So I'll call this like text prompts or something, and then I can go in here and just make some variables in there. So this could be like var intro, and then I can define it, right, with all of this text that I created before. And then here I can just say intro, right? And this will print out, well, in a pop-up, print out this text, right? And then, let's see, var sword text, sword text equals. And here we can put all of that. And sword text, right? And so this way, it just cleans up our code. So var maybe has sword or something like that, and then has sword. And you can see here it even has like code hinting, right? Like it thinks it knows what variable we want to use, which is useful also because sometimes if you're doing everything without a code editor, if you typo on a variable or something, you don't necessarily notice, right? Because you're seeing what you think you wrote as opposed to what you actually might have written. And then maybe one more, var no sword equals, and we'll paste in that little bit here. And no sword. Alright, so this is quite a bit easier to work with. Now it may be a little confusing at first if you're fairly into programming because you're having to think about like going back and forth, but editing this code and looking at the framework and understanding the nested conditionals is so much easier than doing it when we had all that other text inside. So before we get too far ahead of us, let's just make sure that this actually works, right? So we don't want to do all of this and then do more stuff and then find out that we accidentally made a typo somewhere. So I'll just go ahead and open my file in Safari, and we'll just make sure it works. So do I want to play? Okay. Ready to play. Close. There's my text. Do I want to take the sword? I do. The Velociraptor, that's the sword text here, right? Blah, blah, blah. That's the has sword here because I did take the sword. Game over, right? And if I command R to refresh, Dino Battle, do I want to play? Yes. Ready to play. Close. Don't take the sword. Velociraptor. I die. Game over. And if we try one more time, Dino Battle. Do I want to play? No. Game over, right? So it works. So we can see the code here in a code editor. We've added some comments to sort of organize the code, and we've placed the really long text up here in variables to make this a little bit easier to work with, right? So those are all pretty good ideas when it comes to working with code. So try that out with the Choose Your Own Adventure game that you're working on. Whether it's a carbon copy of mine or whether you're making your own, you should try that out. And I do encourage you to work a little bit with your own idea too, so that way you can kind of like take these ideas and expand on them. And we'll continue to expand in the next video.